What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Top Deck TJ here, and we got an interesting video for you. Now normally you see me doing podcasts, you see me doing deck profiles, and potentially even just showing you some gameplay on how things work, but I have a little bit more of an educational video for you. In this video today, I have a co-host Smashed in here, and we're gonna go over some of his gameplays and teach him how to play Punk. That way he could do the best at his upcoming regional and potentially just learn this deck outright, so that way he doesn't have too many more questions and can potentially become the Punk master. Smashtony, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. If you haven't already, you can check out our first video that's up on my channel.
Make sure you go see that video, and not just that video either. Make sure you check out his entire channel. He's got some great videos. I've even used them for my own thoughts and own processes and stuff and deck building. So he's not entirely a bad content creator. He's a really good one, guys. So please check him out. He's very small. Let's get him at, I want to see him at like 1,000 by the end of the year or bigger.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. I believe you said you wanted to start with this branded.
Yeah, the deck that gives me the most trouble.
Yeah. So
overall.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's playing the high spirits version, which is very awkward. Most people don't play like the high spirits version. They end up playing like the pure bestial, just gas version, right?
Yeah, this is the other problem that I have with branded in general is that I feel like the core is there. There's different variants depending on, like, do you want to play Beast? Do you want to play Expulsion? Do you want to play Retribution? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know what to prepare against. You know?
It's super hard. The best thing that I can say going into this is make sure you have more than enough interruptions for their Mirror Jade so you can prevent them getting the Mirror Jade. If you can't prevent them getting from Mirror Jade, your best bet is to try to Amazing Dragon away from it by baiting it out first. Looking from your hand, you have a Droll and you have a Ghost Ogre here, so it's not entirely bad. They're not going to add a card here initially. Let's just go ahead and see what they do, because after that added card they're not adding much more, so it just be what it be. All right, so they're going for the whole fusion play, the normal stuff. Albion, they're playing Masquerade in the main. That's interesting.
Yeah, that caught me off guard when he dropped that.
We know he has the branded or red set because he added it and then doesn't have anything else in hand. Going into this, you're gonna try to probably bait a lot before you even get to like a pinballer or something. So let's go ahead and see what happens.
This is gonna be quite I feel like embarrassing game one for me, I'm gonna say.
All right. So you have double E-Tele. Unfortunately, you
Yeah.
don't get to dodge Droll when you activate an E-Tele in draw phase because it's special summons and doesn't add, but it's not entirely a bad thing. So, because we have to remember, Droll and Lockbird only stopped you from adding. So,
Right.
you could probably hold the E-Tele until like main phase, and then it won't be so bad. The E-Tude here doesn't really matter too much because I don't think they don't. Oh, they do have a tuner. They have a flat one, so I guess they can go for the Lilith. All this looks pretty good. My only debacle is I don't like going for Ogre Dance right away all the time. Because if you get Drolled and you add that Ogre Dance, like you might have seen in our video already. You lose out. I like to directly search the card that I'm going for because Droll is such a huge card, and I like to leave the Ogre Dance for like later down the road. Now, if I know they don't have Droll because I've already added something and they didn't do anything, absolutely go for the Ogre Dance. That way you can banish it off of the extreme sessions and stuff like that. But you don't want to hinder yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and then
I think I saw somebody do that one time and I just stuck to it for some reason.
Yeah, I used to do it myself. I used to E-Tele in the draw phase, but I think it was for like different reasons.
Oh, the Ogre Dance, I think my rationale was like, oh, it gets an 8 in the grave that I can get back for like an XE play, but it doesn't come up that often.
So the one,
especially if I Rising card.
Yeah. So I find that actually, like, Deer noting back the Rising card to make the rank 8 play is a little bit better, because then you could banish the Foxy Tune or the Ogre Dance off of extreme sessions and not be forced to banish like the Deer note or the Rising Carp. And then that way you're able to save resources. If you ever summon back the Rising Carp, Rising Carp is an amazing thing to synchro with. That's why you kind of want to like use that as XE material. Unfortunately, they were able to get rid of that Rising Carp off of you, so they summoned a Mirror Jade. So is big rough, but you are making the correct play here to go to the Wagon, extreme sessions, summon the Madam Spider. Yeah.
The other problem is at this point now I'm just dead because I have 200 life points.
You still have the Rollerballer. You could synchro summon if you had more life points. That's the only downside to that.
That's where that, I think, is that where that ogre comes in? Because that would have saved me 600
Yes.
to play with.
Absolutely, because then that roller baller would then activate, pay the 600 or 700, and then you're able to synchro summon into an 8, which could be like Dragite or the Jam Dragon Drive, or just something that you're potentially able to just, you know, have on board. The only downside is that he had the branded in red and was able to summon that Mirror Jade, which caused the entire thing to kind of go down.
Yeah, it went downhill fast, man.
Yeah, my only advice for branded matchups, besides everything I just kind of overloaded you with in this, would be to not only side DD Crows, but you're more likely to win game 2 and 3 than you are game 1. That's just because then you could side like the DD Crows, you know, you could side Kaijus, Nibirus, you know, stuff like that you normally don't play in the main.
Oh, that brings me to a question.
Yeah.
2 questions. Number 1, DD Crow specifically for, if I'm imagining this format is not going to be very DD Crow heavy. It's going to be like specifically for like this and maybe some like rogue matchups.
So DD Crow's really
is
good.
it better, or like with Mathmech too? But like, is it better to have for Punk DD Crow or like Bestials?
So unless you're playing a deck that benefits from Bestials, it's not. DD Crow's better. DD Crow hits super heavy Samurai because you could DD Crow their Soul Piercer. You can DD Crow Puurrely quick play spells. There's so much in the format that you're able to DD Crow. DD Crow is just significantly better right now for Punk.
All right.
The second one you said Puurrely, right?
Yeah, that one's wild.
Perfect. Already off the bat here, I see this is gonna be rough.
Yeah. It was certainly this was my first time playing against Puurrely, by the way.
Okay.
This is a game 3.
This is a game 3. Okay.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you won game 2, so they're going first. Or was it the
I believe I won game 1.
Okay.
They won game 2, and then so they go game 3 first, I believe.
Let's see what's happening here.
No, I lied.
You lost game 2, and then so you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't much you could do with your opening hand. They play around Droll pretty well. That is smart to do. Yeah. And then you're forced to Droll after this.
Staring at my hand, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, there wasn't much you could do. Like, I mean, maybe you could summon a Leon just to summon a Leon, but like, there's no reason. It's a good thing that they attacked. It's unfortunate that they made Zeus.
They did make Zeus.
They did Zeus. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Smart man by baiting out with the Shirikuzai and stuff like that. He had the.
And I'm just sitting there,
Yeah,
with the Zeus staring me in the face.
I mean, there's
like, oh man.
You couldn't anticipate the Valor, but like, yeah, there's not much else you could have done here. Really, it comes down to just either deck building or consistency, making sure you have the most optimal hands. Ooh.
And at this point, since I had no interruptions, you know, the simulator's just kind of going off, and I'm like, oh, getting whiplash. Like, I don't know what is going on.
Yeah.
I just see a bunch of stuff hit the field, and I'm like, I'm not dead. So,
ooh.
I'm like, I'll try my best.
And then he summons Plump on you. And then another Zeus? Oh my god. He's a god. I think you just scooped this up. I don't think there's much you're able to do in this with your player.
So it gets better.
He lets that go through. He lets that go through.
He lets it all go through.
Wait, why? He could have Zeused. He could have Zeused.
I don't know why he didn't do it.
This doesn't say you can't respond to it. It says you can't negate it.
We were staring at each other for a minute. I'll say that.
Alright. If I was him, I would have just Zeused there. That way I don't lose at least a Zeus.
Yeah, 3,000 body on board. That's pretty close to kills me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty much game almost. Like.
And then he misses with the Puurrely thing.
Yeah, that's good. He keeps putting you lower and lower.
But not quite. And then, yeah, sometimes you just have it.
Yeah. Oh,
and then he quit.
Just quit on you.
I don't know where I go from there. Like, I draw Utility.
You go to a Xiamen, Xiamen into a Madam into Chariot.
How do I?
You go for the quick
play
spell.
because it's a special summon.
Yeah, and then you go for the quick play spell instead of Better Luck next time. And
okay.
Then that way you're able to reborn the Leon. Leon's yeah, and then Leon would summon back the Roller Baller. Roller Baller then gives you plays. And,
gotcha. Yeah, I don't play the quick play spell. Is that the one where you special summon one to your field and you special summon one to their field?
They special summon one to their field, but yes. But the effect of that monster is just negated permanently, not till the end phase, just negated. Most people usually don't summon off of it, but I coincidentally had a game at my last regionals where I faced the mirror match. They activated the quick play and I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, I summon. I was like, no, don't worry. I'm gonna think about what I'm summoning. Thank you. And he's just kind of staring at me like, what? And I'm just like, yeah, thank you. Like,
yeah, give me those cards.
I think I ended up summoning like a Rising Carp or something and then synchro summoning with it. It was just like,
that's the thing that scares me about playing that card.
It's better to have it than it isn't to have it, because if you have better luck next time and then you go to carry, what do you add?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
You can add a better luck next time, but like you're not gonna be able to activate it. That's why in my build I play a one of the quick play, because it's also something you could side out to if you're just not feeling it, but it's another card to have. Let's go ahead and get on into this game 3 Mathmech.
Last one. Game, this was first game against Mathmech, so I didn't know what he was playing, and he goes first.
He goes first. All right. Let's swap these real quick. So from the looks of it, you got a decent hand here. So he's gonna go first. He summons out the firewall, makes Lingribo. So I personally probably would have gammaed the parallel Xseed. Although they can make another link too because they get the firewall back. What's the chances of them extending further if they don't have the parallel Xseed? They've already normal summoned the Guardian.
I think my thought process was, I've seen this before. Like I mean, I played Style's my favorite deck. Yeah. I play Cyberse. I know Exceed very well, but I'm like, I figure this is Mathmech just because of the meta and stuff. Right. I know that a good spot is like Splash Mage or Transcode, but I don't know any other like good spots to hit. So I think I was like somewhat waiting for like a Circular to show up. That never did, and I was like, I'll hit that instead. And I don't know.
Absolutely.
I was like, because it could special summon itself, right?
No, absolutely. And that is a great thought process. My only debacle there is if you see them normal summoning a firewall and then using parallel Xseed, probably don't have much else.
Yeah, I guess I was overthinking that it was bait or something.
Honestly, sometimes it's not bad to like overthink and think it's bait. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You just sometimes you have to risk it. The worst thing is that they set up a board to like a heat soul. It just be what it be.
Oh, we gonna get the heat soul.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's perfectly fine. You can get the heat soul. I just don't want you getting into this guy.
yeah. That's when I gamma too. And but then they ashed
he ashed it, which I generally will never ash. Yeah, and that's why, because now I can just reuse gamma.
So this is where it gets it's a little interesting and where I want commentary on.
Yeah.
Is using the gamma there on Circular was kind of like in the match. It was very much like a spur of the moment, like. Right. He ashed the gamma. I was like, okay, gamma's not once per turn. And then he goes Circular, and I was like, shit, hit it. And I was like, I didn't actually think through, is this the right time to hit it? Because I mean, obviously you can see, like, he goes to Splash Mage, he goes to Transcode, like, he gets everything anyway. And I was like, well, shit, this didn't do anything.
Yeah, I would have waited then for the Splash Mage. Either Transcode or the Splash Mage, but I would have waited for the one of the two to activate their effect.
Yeah.
That way, then you get rid of a link entirely, and you negate that effect because they've already gotten to the Circular. They're gonna link off. Like, if we go, if we go back just a little bit. Oh no, it's just gonna swap me.
What the heck?
It just swapped.
I don't know how this works.
But they had what, the Xseed, the other parallel Xseed, and the Lingribo. That's already a link 3 right there.
Yeah.
So like, and if you could assume that they're playing Mathmech, because I mean they've already added Circular, you know they're gonna make like a Transcode or like the Splash Mage. Like,
yeah, I think for some reason I was also like thinking, okay, I'd rather not see Circular search the trap. I was trying to keep him off it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But then, as you can see, like what ends up happening is, ended up being pretty bad anyway.
Absolutely. But then you also have to consider he needs a third Mathmech in the graveyard for Super Factorial to be beneficial. Because he can summon out I don't know if he can summon out the Xseed with it, but like you can't Xseed with the Xseed. So I probably would have hit the Transcode or the Splash Mage.
Okay.
They do make
There's the Heat Soul.
They're probably all right.
This was the problem. They are now lower than life points than me, and that became the biggest hindrance to me at that moment in time.
So you don't know that they have Imperm, but they have double Imperm.
Yeah. That didn't help either.
Yeah.
Oh my god. They're 2,000 lower than me, and I was like, shit. So I can't pride stuff right now.
Yeah, you just kind of get locked. There's not much you can do. I don't even activating the Ogre Dance. I don't think that it. Yeah. I don't know what you'd be able to do here.
Yeah. I couldn't see anything.
I think you have to attack into something and lose the Shirakuza
Oh.
or the Xiamen. And then that way you
Oh,
can
why
Captain
didn't I
Carry,
think about
and then
that?
you can Leon go into Chariot Carry.
Oh
you
my
can make the better luck
God.
next time. Get the Roller Baller. And then yeah. The only downside.
I'm so used to burning myself.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It is a super hard thing to get used to. Sometimes you have to attack in order to lose those life points. Because if you're gonna lose your turn, you might as well waste the battle phase anyways and just like lose some life points and make a setup board. The only downside is that they're gonna probably imperm the carry because you want to summon carry first. You don't get trapped, that's perfectly fine. Screw it. You get to the better luck next time because you could use Leon and the Shirakuza, or you know, like something like if you know you basically just use 2 monsters on the field and you make the Chariot Carry for free. You want to be able to make as many plays as possible.
That's why you're the punk master. I didn't even think about just punch it.
Yeah.
Just lose your guy.
Yeah. That'd be the only way because you just attack into the transcode since it's 28. You only lose 1600.
Yeah.
But that 1600 puts you less than him.
Genius. Yeah, I'll definitely remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they make the access code. We know this is game for the most part. Like
this is scrap.
Yeah.
Done.
At this point, there's not much else you could do. But yeah, outside of that, I think that's the only thing that I see that you could have done differently in this game.
This was definitely the most informative. Talking about right place to gamma there.
Yeah.
Turn 1, and then talking about just punching into the opponent on your turn to make your life points lower.
Yeah.
Just makes way more sense now. I just didn't even consider it for some reason.
Yeah, it's a crazy concept because you're in a deck that you want to be in a lower life point, so like why not attack and just make yourself lower and lose your monster, you know? It's just something that you got to do sometimes. I even did it at the previous regional. I took somebody's Arise Heart, attacked into their defense Shangri-Ira, and then made a Zeus. Sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do. Yeah, like sometimes you just have to attack your opponent for like the losing part of it to gain something out of it.
Makes sense. Wow, yeah, that was very informative. Appreciate that 100%.
Absolutely. Is there any other questions that I can answer for you, my man, before we wrap this up?
I guess the only thing left would be since we've been talking about it a lot, we talked about this quick play spell. Yeah. Would you mind doing a brief like 2-3 minute deck profile review just to see what I'm playing and get any thoughts about it?
Absolutely.
The side deck definitely needs some work.
No worries, boss.
And the main deck, the distribution of hand traps doesn't feel great right now.
So I was just talking about this yesterday at the regional. I don't think outside of Droll, Gamma, and maybe Ghost Ogre, I don't think hand traps are good.
I've even been considering, it feels blasphemous to me at this point in time, but I've even been considering just putting Ash in the side.
Honestly, I've been seeing a lot of people do that over maining it. Honestly, I almost wanted to cut my Ashes yesterday. Like they helped, but they didn't.
Just don't do. It feels like they don't do enough.
Nah.
Except like exactly like branded fusion and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really there just for branded. Because if you Ash a super heavy samurai, they're like, okay, continue to play. Like
yeah.
You have to literally troll them or something. It just doesn't feel good.
There's my girl.
So my best advice is to potentially cut this down to 40. 40 just makes this deck so much consistent. It makes it so much easier. And then that way you're able to just see the cards that you need to see. Overall, it looks solid. The only things that I don't like are like the Veiler, because Veiler just doesn't feel like it does much right now. The 2 Ash Blossom, I don't entirely disagree with. I just don't fully agree with them right now because they only hit like branded. There's not much else that they really hit. Like Super Heavy Samurai doesn't care. You know, Dragon Link doesn't care. There's not many decks that care about it. Ghost Ogre, it's a searchable card. It's a great card. It hits the pendulums. It hits my friend Puurrely. You know, it hits a bunch of good cards. So like overall, this is a very good standard list. I just don't like Gamma because there's not a lot of times you're able to summon Lambda. And as good as it once used to be, we don't have Chaos Ruler anymore. So it's not as free as it once used to be. Personally, I don't play the Gamma anymore. I just don't like it too much. It's only good unless like if they're going first too. So like if they go first and you have the Gamma, it feels great. But once you start getting your plays, you're not making a Lambda most times.
The only other reason why I run it, and I agree with you to the point also that like I hate Gamma because of Driver. I draw it every fucking time, and I don't like. I got people at locals that be like, don't bitch about drawing the one of, like you don't do it as often as you think, dude. I swear to fucking God, I draw that one of every single time. I had a locals one day, 4 rounds. I went up in there, I drew it every single match. I cannot tell you how much I hate doing that, but when it does come up, I really like having it when they decide to hit Shiraku or hit Rising Carp.
Yeah.
Because when I get hit by Rising Carp, I'm like, fuck.
That feels great. I've done that a couple of times, and it feels great. But it's just too situational in this deck. Like, there's not many optimal times that you can use it, unfortunately.
You think it's like a side deck card for this
I
deck?
don't even think that. I just don't play it at all.
Damn. Down on game.
Yeah, so I maxed out on Droll, Ghost Ogres, Ash Blossoms versus the Gambles. I just personally didn't like them. Something else that I took this from another deck profile, don't quote me on who, because I don't remember, I'm not good with names, but if you guys in the comments do know who I'm talking about, please let me know. I took somebody's deck profile, and they were playing 3 triple Tactics Talent and 2 Dark Blue No More in the main. Oh my god, was it beautiful.
Ooh,
it was so good. Because as soon as they go to activate a hand trap like Droll or something, I'm just gonna rip cards out of your hand. Now I know what you have, and now I know how to play against you. So like,
I was thinking about talents because I play right now IRL. I play pure punk, and I play talents in that because I have the space.
Yeah.
But once I put the gold prize in here, I'm like, where do I find the space for this?
So I would drop the Veilers. I would even drop down Ogre Dance to 1. A Deer Note could go because you're generally only summoning it off a Rising Carp, and then the drivers in the Gamma. And that should give you more than enough room.
That's a good amount of room right there.
Outside of that though, the main deck definitely looks solid. There's not much else that I'd probably change about it. Because everything else comes down to preference. Like I prefer 2 carry because I don't always want to hard draw her. I mean, it's cool sometimes. But I replaced a carry with a Psychic Tracer, which is something you can search off of the Jam Dragon Drive, and then it gives you more plays. Because if you summon or if you search the Zeoman early, you have the Ghost Ogre in hand. You know, it's free level 3.
Okay. Yeah, true.
So, you know, stuff like that.
That's a spicy tech.
Yeah, well, I played it in pure punk to be able to make Barkion going first, so you can't even beat me.
Oh, snap. God dog.
Yeah.
That's the real spot.
It's crazy how much it does for you. And you could technically potentially play it now, but I just don't fear Evenly as much because Evenly just isn't that good. People aren't playing it because going into Super Heavy Samurai, they're going to Barone it. They have other negates. You don't generally are able to evenly a Dragon Link player. They're just gonna keep the Heroic Seal. Like, you know, there's just not.
You don't want a Puurrely, right? Because they're just gonna get like 3 fucking spells.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck those things do.
Yeah, they're gonna get back more spells, and it's just like, all right, it feels cool to get rid of the Plump or the Neor, but like, doesn't really do much.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so.
What's this what's that XE package you were talking to me about earlier in that game that we did on my channel?
It plays number 97, so it's going to summon and attach 2 number monsters. So it'll summon 1 number monster and then it'll attach the other. Now, not only do you play the Hope Harbinger, you don't play that for this, or you do play that for this package. You play number 100 Numeron Dragon. You detach a card from it. It gains the amount of rank on field, 1,000 per rank. So if there's 9 ranks on field, so there's a rank 8 and the rank 1, that's 9,000 damage.
That's just game.
That is game. I have done it multiple times to multiple people and have either solidified game or forced them to waste resources.
Dang.
It is.
Dang. So like, would you? That sounds like almost like a better choice. I feel like I've had Dengirsu pop up once, and I've had Zeus pop up like twice, but it didn't ever really do much.
Yeah.
It's just there. So I'm wondering what the best XZs are to pitch out of this deck.
So I would definitely take out the Dengirsu. I would also take out a singular Jam Dragon Drive and then an Asa.
Yeah, so I was also, before I was running a Unicorn in this deck, but I cut it for the Photon Lord.
Yeah.
The links are like, they're whatever. I feel like Asa never comes up.
Asa used to be really good when Kashtira was like huge. Kashtira is no longer super huge, right? So we don't really need the Asa anymore because we don't need to be able to take a Fenrir effect, search our Fenrir, you know, do that stuff.
Oh, fair.
So I would definitely cut the Asa. I would look at cutting Dengirsu, a Jam Dragon Drive, and a Lambda. I would then put in a Nightmare Cerberus, because basically Cerberus is like a smaller Nitro blaster, except you don't need 2 different level Gold Pride monsters. You just need 2 monsters.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know, kind of good. And then you could like discard the Robo Baller, use Leon, and you know, you could make some cool plays with it. But I would definitely look at playing the number 97 and the number 100 because you already played the Hope Harbinger too. I do see you're playing the Photon Lord. That's good. It helps you. I mean, this deck doesn't really get to protect against Nib because we're not able to summon a Fenrir or normal summon a Punk Monster and then make Barone anymore. But it allows you to play around their turn. Maybe a second carry or a Foxy or a Fortune Tune. Fortune Tune, you can use it to attack into a monster, detach so it doesn't get destroyed, and then summon a Zeus.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
I don't think I've ever seen that card in my life.
It is a very old school card. So I don't know how long you've been playing for, but it came out in like Agents were a thing, Tour Guide was out. I think
oh wow.
Stellar was just
at like what
out. 2012, 2013 era?
Yeah.
It would have been right after windups.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so my old school knowledge is like I've done certain like old school formats with my friends and stuff, but I've only played Yu-Gi-Oh like nostalgic as a kid, and then quit for a long time and only really started getting back into it last year.
Okay. So yeah, it's one of those cards that unfortunately came from an era that you weren't too big in yet, but that's okay because you know you're here now and you get to learn these cards.
I know pretty much up through like Synchro era
Right.
and like the beginning of XC, but
After that.
and I know some strategies because I've played them, but like I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't around actually playing during that time.
Those are my like golden days.
Like I was out here like I know Black Wings pretty well, but like outside of that, like that's all I got. And Chaos.
Right? Chaos Dragons was huge. But yeah, that Fortune Tune will if you don't want to play a second Chariot Carry, it'll be good. Or you could play Bamboozling, number 75. Bamboozling isn't entirely bad either.
Gossip Shadow?
Yes.
I heard that's like good for stopping Nib if you can get to it.
Yeah, because then you just both draw a card and it negates the effect.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's kind of decent, but yeah, so I would look at those two. Outside of that, the rest of the extra deck is like standard. There's not much else that I'd change, because then you're pretty much playing almost a very similar extra deck to me. Now for your side deck, I would look at siding like Nibiru's, DD Crows, the Cosmic Cyclones are really good. Anti-Spell Fragrance is really good this format. It stops Puurrely, it stops Super Heavy Samurai from being able to activate their Pendulum Zones. So, you know, you got stuff like that.
Oh, true.
And then I was also siding like 2 evenly, and when I did side evenly, it was against like Cashier or a deck that I knew couldn't stop it, but I didn't side evenly too often. If you're going to play the Pop Punk, I would say main the Nashawari Surprise. I would not say side it.
Okay.
You could just replace that for the third Cyclone, but yeah, I would.
Would you do you have any preference over third Cyclone versus like a Harpies?
I sided Harpies and 3 Cyclones.
Oh, okay. Just go really hard into it.
My theory was if I go against like a lab player, I want the Harpies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the Judgment, you have the Judgment. I was losing either way then.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to hit those heavy back rows or going against like stuff like Super Heavy Samurai, like that way you could just wipe the Pendulum Zones so they can't Pendulum Summon the next turn or something. But even then, I would just side the Cosmic Cyclones, so that when they activate their effects, you just Cosmic Cyclone it and they get, you know, they lose it.
True.
But the Kaijus, I'm not super huge on Kaiju themselves. I would rather play the Santa Claus because then they're smaller and you can almost attack. You can crash with a Shirokuzai into Santa Claus, if that makes any sense to you. So like, not that I would ever crash the Shirokuzai.
It's attack mode.
Yeah.
Because Santa Claus is a really wimpy attack, right? It's like 500 or something.
Yeah, it is 1200.
1200.
And you just gotta tribute a monster and special summon it. That's super easy. This deck can, like, you could summon a Chariot Carry and attack over it for 500 attack.
Dang.
So,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You could even, like, Rising Carp and summon the Deer Note and stuff like that. Or, you know, like, you can make, like, so many different plays and just get over the Santa Claus much easier. Over the
Okay, that makes sense.
And then Ghost Bell, I would just replace it straight up with the DD Crow. I don't think that Ghost Bell is better than DD Crow. I think DD Crow is much better because then you can stop things that are being targeted versus like activated effects of like a certain
Okay,
kind.
that's fair.
You know,
I think I only put that there because like, oh, I was like, oh, it's a level 3 tuner. It's perfect.
yeah, it's not entirely bad, but you already play like Ghost Ogre and Ash Blossom. There haven't been games I've normal summoned like Ghost Ogre, so like you have it there. I wouldn't worry too much about needing another level 3 when the deck is like almost entirely level 3. But yeah, that DD Crow will be able to hit Puurrely, Super Heavy Samurai, Despia, any Bestial control deck, just about most in the meta right now. So like,
Okay,
it's not
that makes sense.
bad to play.
Okay, word. Yeah, you've convinced me on DD Crow for sure.
Yeah,
I'm definitely putting those things
now
in.
in a cash format, DD Crow is terrible, but yeah, I just
With that ban list though.
yeah, but we're not in that.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
Soon. But thankfully, we're not in that format anymore. So DD Crow makes a ton more sense now. Is there any other questions you got for me, man? Because I think I've pretty much like knocked it out for you. I don't think there's much else I can.
I think that's it. I got a lot of information to sleep on, honestly, and get back to the training tank over here.
Absolutely.
The next coming weeks.
There you go, man. Well, if you guys want to see more content like this, be sure to not only subscribe and like hit the like button, comment, all that good stuff. Make sure, like I said earlier in this video, check out Smashtonygo's channel. He's got a great channel. He's got some great information. He even gives you guys live duels, which I know you guys love. Me personally, I love to watch any kind of live duel, whether it's like in person or on EDO Pro, Duel Links, Nexus, wherever it is. I just like getting the most information. So if you want more, make sure to check them out. But until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next video.